Caleb Williams legitimately has a chance to be the best Chicago Bears quarterback in their history.
Remember, Brandon Marshall would have 110 catches in that uber possession type of role. I think that's what Drake London will bring to the table for the Falcons.
I think Tank Dell is going to completely rewrite the requirements to be an NFL wide receiver.
All right, Sam, today we're talking about 10 difference makers for the 2024 season. We each have 5 players, so I'll let you go first. Give me your first difference maker.
I'm going to start on the offensive line. In the trenches, those guys don't get enough love, but Tyron Smith has been a difference maker throughout his entire NFL career, and he's now making the difference between Aaron Rodgers staying upright over the course of the season and Aaron Rodgers going down again for the 2024 NFL season. So I think Tyron Smith, as long as he's out there healthy, and that's a big caveat, but I think they've done a good job, backfilling that contingency with their first-round draft pick in Olu Fashanu. Tyron Smith's going to make a difference to the New York Jets this year.
The quarterback coming off the Achilles injury, getting protected, and is blindsided by the oft-injured Tyron Smith. You're right, difference maker when he is healthy, but that is the big key. I'm also going to start in the trenches on the defensive line. I'm going Arik Armstead of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think when you look at the Jags last year and their collapse down the stretch, their ability to rush the passer was in question every single week. Josh Allen can get after the QB. Trayvon Walker is a good, I think, third pass rusher. So enter Arik Armstead as the second best pass rusher on this team and a guy that can line up on the interior or on the edge, create a bunch of mismatches. I think the Jags defensive line immediately has depth and flexibility because Armstead is so good. Great compliment to Josh Allen, and he might be able to unlock Trayvon Walker and all of his pass rushing upside because of the athleticism.
Yeah, Armstead's been talking up Trayvon Walker. It'll be interesting to see if he can also, give him some help along the way as a freaky athlete himself. Let's get you from where you are right now to actually being the difference maker that I'm talking about. The next guy I want to bring up, Aaron Jones, running back now for the Minnesota Vikings, formerly of the Green Bay Packers. Again, I seem to be falling into this rut of oft-injured players, but a healthy Aaron Jones is absolutely a difference maker. We saw that even just last season for the Green Bay Packers. As soon as he gets into that groove, playing healthy at his best, there's few players in the NFL like him. He's got the speed, he's got the quickness, the elusiveness running with the football, and he's a great receiving weapon as well. So I think you plug him into that Vikings offense with Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison. That's giving JJ McCarthy every chance in the world to succeed right away.
Yeah, the Vikings didn't really have that big name at running back last year, and they had Dalvin Cook a few years ago. We saw him just started to get, got older over the last couple of years. But yeah, Aaron Jones can make a huge impact for the Vikings. I missed an opportunity a couple minutes ago because one of the players on my list is the other tackle for the New York Jets. So I'll just throw him out there right now. I call him the great Morgan Moses. So you highlighted Tyron Smith on the left side, who is an elite player when he's healthy. But Morgan Moses is a difference maker for me, not because he's as good as Tyron Smith, but he has what Tyron Smith doesn't have, and that's the durability. You're going to get the 1,000 snaps out of Morgan Moses, who has been one of the most dependable right tackles over the last few years. Excellent run blocker, solid in pass protection. Both of those tackles are going to be potential difference makers for the Jets. But I wanted to highlight Morgan Moses because he was a steal for the Jets. And when you get that type of consistency at right tackle, that's something the Jets haven't had these last few years.
Okay, Jalen Carter, defensive tackle for the Eagles. We saw right away in his rookie season the potential that he brings to the table, and whether he hit a rookie wall or just didn't have the same second half of the year as the first half, he wouldn't have been the only Philadelphia Eagle for whom that was the case last season. Whatever it was, I think the first half of the year showed who Jalen Carter can be and what he can do. He actually reminds me a little bit of Kevin Williams for the Vikings, just this all-around wrecking ball on the interior, incredible athlete, incredible physical specimen, able to rush the passer, as well as any defensive tackle in the NFL now that Aaron Donald isn't there. I think he's going to be the guy for the Eagles on the interior this year.
Yeah, just a matter of putting it together for a full season for Jalen Carter, but showed a ton of potential as a rookie. So I'll stick with defensive tackle here, and similar to my Arik Armstead breakdown, DJ Reader going to the Detroit Lions. The Lions had a similar question as far as rushing the passer week in, week out last year. Who was helping Aiden Hutchinson? They were depleted on the edge, and you saw they lacked a little bit of depth, got a lot of help from Alim McNeil, But now you get even more help with DJ Reader. And DJ Reader, when he was out there for the Cincinnati Bengals over the last few seasons, completely different defense. His ability to stop the run, he's got some of the best freak-type plays that you'll ever see from a defensive tackle, handling a double team, shedding the block, making the play. The Lions immediately got better against the run, just having DJ Reader out there, and then better rushing the passer, because with him next to Alim McNeil, their ability to eat up double teams give even more freedom to Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport, who they brought in on a one-year deal. I mean, I just love adding DJ Reader to the mix for the Lions. Filled a massive need on that defensive line.
Yeah, Reader's one of those guys that can be unblockable one-on-one when he's playing at his absolute best. 2 wide receivers to round out my list. Let's start with one of my guys, Tank Dell, who again, last season, rookie year, showed immediately the kind of impact he can make. I think Tank Dell is going to completely rewrite the requirements to be an NFL wide receiver. People looked at him and they were like, okay, great college player, but he's too small, he's too light. You can't play in the NFL at that size. Well, it turns out you can if you're just a really damn good football player, and Tank Dell is. He can play inside or outside, not just a slot guy at that size, and he's way more physical than that, than his size would dictate. He is an absolute playmaker at all levels of the field. He's a contested catch guy, despite being a small, undersized receiver, and you saw the kind of juice that he brings to that Texans offense. I know they're loaded at receiver now with bringing in Stephon Diggs, with Nico Collins still there with the new deal that he's got, but Tank Dell is going to be a really important part of that offense.
Yeah, you and I both loved Tank Dell, but I think even we were pleasantly surprised with the impact that he had, both down the field as a slot receiver, the quickness, the speed that you mentioned. Love the shout out for Tank Dell. I'll go receiver as well. So this isn't a new player. This is Drake London from the Atlanta Falcons heading into year 3. And now we have more of a pass-first offense. We have Kirk Cousins coming in at quarterback, and London's going to have the best quarterback play by far that he's ever had. So I think Drake London as a true number 1 wide receiver. Remember, he was the first receiver off the board in the 2022 NFL draft, ahead of guys like Chris Olave and Jameson Williams. I mean, he's played as well as those guys, ahead of Garrett Wilson. I think he's a comparable player in a different style. Big body, possession-type receiver. But we're talking about a guy I think is going to have a Brandon Marshall type of season. Remember, Brandon Marshall would have 110 catches in that uber possession type of role. I think that's what Drake London will bring to the table for the Falcons. He's going to see the targets. He's going to see way more accurate passes than he saw with Desmond Ridder under center. So I'm expecting a huge season from Drake London in Atlanta.
Last guy on my list, Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love has been saying, look, they don't have a number 1 wide receiver. All of their wide receivers are really good. But I think the guy that could actually emerge as their number 1 wide receiver is Dontayvion Wicks. Last season, he was a 5th-round draft pick. He was one of the lowest resource-intensive guys on that team. All the resources had been on Christian Watson before that, even, Jaden Reed and the tight ends. But Dontayvion Wicks has got some real ability about him and emerged as the season wore on. And I think was kind of forcing his way into that number 1 conversation. And, maybe he can't become a Devontae Adams, but could he become, their Greg Jennings, their Jordy Nelson, a true number 1 receiver for them who can do big things? Reminds me, he's like a poor man's Justin Jefferson. He's got that kind of weird running style, sort of unusual movement pattern. And he was just a playmaker for this team last year. So I think Wicks is going to continue that ascension and become a real number 1 receiver for that Packers offense.
Hey, that shows just how deep the Packers are, because if you asked me who's their best receiver, I would probably think about Romeo Doubs. I would think about Christian Watson breaking out, and you're picking Wicks, which is fine, but they're deep at receiver. Jaden Reed, who you mentioned, Packers have a lot of options there. All right, let me round it out with this. A difference maker for 2024. The number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams, for the Chicago Bears. That might seem too obvious, but this is important for Bears fans. The last time the Bears had a little bit of hope was 2018, but that was on the back of their defense. The defense was dragging, year 2 of Mitchell Trubisky to the division championship. There was a lot of fake confidence in the Bears in the quarterback situation. Coming out of this year, though, Bears fans are going to be as optimistic as they've been since 1985. That's what's going to happen. That's what Caleb Williams is going to bring to this organization. I don't know what the final record's going to be. I don't know if he's going to win Rookie of the Year. I do know the playmaking, the big plays, what Caleb Williams will bring to the table. We will be talking about him as the future best quarterback in Bears history, for whatever that's worth. We'll at least see flashes of that this season. He will be a difference maker, not only for the Bears and their record this year, but for that entire fan base to have hope in 2024 and beyond.
Well, that's where I thought you were going to go, that the last good Bears quarterback retired in 1950. Caleb Williams legitimately has a chance to be the best Chicago Bears quarterback in their history after his rookie season. Like, okay, Sid Luckman playing in the 1940s, it's a different world, but Caleb Williams can break every record the Bears have effectively in one season if he plays at an even reasonably high level. He doesn't even need, to shatter rookie records league-wide or anything. He could become the Chicago Bears leading quarterback basically right away.